welcome back to South Baltimore Now. I'm Nate Carper, joined with Kevin Lynch, and we've got a fantastic guest joining us today. Christina Betancourt Johnson, who's the CEO of Standard Wellness Maryland. Christina is a real powerhouse in the Maryland cannabis industry. I'm so excited to have her with us. Christina's been making waves everywhere. She's been featured in news outlets nationally and right here in Baltimore. And she's not just opening businesses, she's a real advocate too. She's been a strong voice against the proposed cannabis tax increases, which is something we definitely want to dive into. We're going to hear all about Christina's journey and what it takes to be a leader in this industry. Christina and her team at Standard Wellness have just opened an amazing new cannabis dispensary, The Forest, over in Canton. We're going to chat about that grand opening, what it means for the neighborhood, and get Christina's take on the future of cannabis in South Baltimore and, of course, beyond. So stick with us as we give warm South Baltimore Now welcome to Christina Betancourt Johnson. Kev, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing, Nate?
This is our first show of the new year. Christina, thank you so much for being our first guest on our first show. We're excited to get the year started off right. You've got a lot of new things going on.
Thanks so much, Nate, for having me, and Kevin, too. We are excited to be in Baltimore with our new store just opening a couple of weekends ago on MLK weekend. We love being in Canton. We love being in Baltimore. Happy to tell you a little bit about the Forest Dispensary, which is the name of the new business that we just opened up there. The concept is that the Forest is more than a dispensary. It's an elevated, welcoming space designed to reshape the cannabis experience in Maryland. At our dispensary, we prioritize education, wellness, and community over just transactions and profit. Like, I come from a conscious capitalism sort of standpoint, and I think that we can do good by doing well and do both at the same time. So that's where we're at now, and happy to answer any questions you have, Nate or Kevin, about the company or what we've got on the horizon or what sets us apart. Anything you'd like to dive into, I'm here for it.
Sure, let's do it. So yeah, just tell us a little bit more about the Forest. What kind of products do you guys have? What type of experience will customers get when they walk in the door?
Yeah, so at the Forest, it's not your stereotypical sort of cannabis shop. We designed it to be a calm, boutique-like experience with a warm aesthetic, high-end materials, and a community-driven feel. We carry a variety of different products at the Forest. We've got premium cannabis brands and everything from flower to topicals to transdermals and edibles. We've even got a few drinks that we've got there. We feature women and minority-owned brands alongside of the plethora of other brands that we've got in the market. And we've got a wellness focus. When people come into the dispensary, our hope is that whether they are novice canna-curious users or experienced cannabis users, they're able to find their niche and feel at home and settled. And so when they talk to our bud tenders and they're greeted at the front door, they can ask questions out of the gate. We'll have people on hand to address their inquiries. And so if they are newbies at using cannabis, we want to make sure that they feel comfortable and that they have a safe place to ask questions about the product. Dosing information is something we often get questioned about. How do people use these products? We've had some folks come in and ask about suppositories. That's always one of those things that makes people giggle, but the reality is they're great, especially for medical purposes. And so you think of cannabis being just one of those things that people smoke and relax off of, but the reality is there's a real wellness component to the plant. And that's what we try to drive home at the Forest.
And tell us about that location. I know you're right on Boston Street there. You're all the Brewers Hill and Canton Crossing developments. What do you like about being there, and why'd you choose that location?
Yeah. So like any business, location is at the core of why people open in certain areas. For us, Baltimore has a rich history of resilience and entrepreneurship and innovation. Canton, in my mind, is an embodiment of that. It's a vibrant, diverse neighborhood with an active community that appreciates high quality products and experiences. We've got a great retail sort of hub right next to us. We've got incredible community partners in the restaurants and bars. The arts community is strong over there. We've got Care First behind us. We've got, to our right, to the right of our facility. For us, it was an ideal location because we're at the epicenter of that community. And of course, we've got the park next door. And so we're really looking forward to summertime where people can enjoy the Thursday concerts over there monthly and then pop over to the shop and ask a little bit about how they can use our products in their wellness routine. But Canton for us just represents everything that is good about Baltimore.
As far as a market for the cannabis business, how's Baltimore treating you so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. I think what's been difficult for us, Kevin, is just getting the word out, right? Like we're a small startup business and we've got some competitors in the market. On our grand opening, they drove down their prices like 30 and 40% off. That's hard to compete with because people want quality products at a good price. And we've got folks in the market that are competitors who have a much bigger marketing budget. So we're really trying to go hand to hand, build partnerships and relationships with people who have networks and followings so they can get the word out about our shop. I think at the end of the day, we also know that Baltimore consumers are educated. They care about purchasing from stores that are legitimate and regulated and where our products are tested. There are a few competitors in Baltimore who are actually gray market shops. They are illegal operators. The folks that we've come in contact with really want to be in a space where they can trust the products they're using. I think that sets us apart. Experience in the customer journey when folks come into our dispensary sets us apart. We've got a lot of good Google reviews already, and it's because we care about our customer and we put them first and lead with integrity, compassion, and authenticity. We are who we are. When you come in our shop, you know what you're getting. So far, it's been great, and we look forward to welcoming more folks into our little cannabis and wellness ecosystem.
And Christina, tell us, how did you end up in the cannabis industry?
That's a good question, Kevin. In 2016, I was in affordable housing development. Prior to that, I had worked in the nonprofit sector and had done some preservation work with a nonprofit named Rebuilding Together. There's a Rebuilding Together Baltimore. We fixed up houses for folks in need. I had a traumatic health scare, a life-threatening form of meningitis. I got sick, and at the time, was working with my fiance who had said, Christina, take some time off. I took the time off and he said, just kidding. I need you to come back and work with me. In doing so, he introduced me to some people that were in the cannabis space. Quite frankly, I thought it was an amazing industry. It was nascent. It was new. It was such a warm community. And people were really focused on everybody got behind the idea that there was this plant, even as recent as the 40s, it was like on the US pharmacopoeia. People used it to be healthy and to treat illnesses and conditions. And then all of a sudden it became illegal. It was a Schedule I substance, which was treated along with crack cocaine. In the 80s, you saw this mass effort to incarcerate individuals who were associated with the plant. And fast forward to the 2000s, 2020, I think 18 or so, 2017 is when I got into the space. I saw this huge movement in the legal cannabis sector to ensure that people who had been disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs, over criminalized and policed, were able to participate in the market. And so what you generally saw was a lot of African Americans and Latino Americans being able to participate in the upside of the cannabis industry as it was legalizing on a state to state level. That's a really cool effort. You don't see that in other industries, right? You don't see that in big pharma. You don't see it in big tobacco. Don't see it in the healthcare space. As a woman entrepreneur who's also African American and Latina, I thought there are very few industries that you can shift into as an executive, not having had a substantial amount of time in that industry. Like, Kevin, you're not going to shift out of this podcast or any other business you're in and go into pharma as a CEO, right? That's unreasonable. That's not going to happen. I saw it as an economic opportunity, obviously, for our community, for me, for my family. I thought it was an opportunity to build wealth, but I thought it was also an opportunity to serve. I could bring to bear my experience in the for-profit sector in doing advocacy work and lobbying work, my experience in the nonprofit sector and caring for people and their needs and leading with compassion, my experience working with conscious capitalism. It was just an opportunity to bring all these skill sets and experiences together to build something great, like to build a company that people want to work for, where there's open doors. Everybody's welcome to come in and to experience the upside of the business, where people can learn and grow professionally. And then we can do right by our clients. I mean, we're actually providing something that people can use to be well, which is a unique opportunity. But that's how I got into the space. And that's sort of why I'm in it today.
Very cool. And I know the cannabis industry itself has been on its own journey. At least here in Maryland, medical marijuana first became available in 2017. And then in 2023, recreational marijuana was activated. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you've ridden part of that journey as well. How did the industry sort of prepare for all these new realities?
Yeah, we had medical for even a little bit longer. That started around 2014, 2015. So it's been about 10 years in Maryland that folks have been able to tap into the benefits of the plant through a legal and sort of regulated market. In 2023, we did transition to adult use, which allowed sort of anybody, whether they had a medical mandate or card or not, to be able to come to this store and purchase products if they were over 21. So I think there was a good amount of effort from the business sector, but also from the executive branch, and then additionally from our legislative branch and elected officials, as well as the broader sort of community, to come together and figure out what could this new market and this adult use market look like? What should the construct be? What works well for everybody? We've got a unique trifecta operating in Maryland where the public and private sector work really closely together to come up with some pretty decent laws. What we've got going in cannabis has been working well. We have not seen the bottom fall out from underneath us in this sector or in this market, unlike other states, Oregon, Colorado, because there are a limited number of licenses, it's still a healthy number of licenses, was still able to operate with some degree of stability, which I think is good. Health is at the forefront of what we're doing. And I think that's why there's been such a focus on the medical aspect of introducing this and ensuring that it's available to the broader public. I think we rolled out social equity pretty well. There are challenges with every market that has tried to roll out a social equity program, but by and large, I think what we did different and well is we communicated with one another. We didn't try to do things in a silo, and we didn't leave important stakeholders out. As laws were drafted, people really did have input in how they were brought to a vote.
I see you're a vice chair of the Maryland Wholesale Cannabis Trade Association. So obviously you're involved in more than just your own business. So in your opinion, what's next for the cannabis industry in Maryland? Are there any barriers you still see? Is there any innovation that needs to take place?
What I'll do is I'll take a step back and say, I'm now the chair of this association. For better or worse, they're stuck with me for a little bit of time. I think what happened was I left for the bathroom and then I got voted in. But, that happens sometimes. And then I'm also on the board of the United States Cannabis Council. The federal movement is going to affect us in Maryland. Right now, we've got a stable market. We've got a great new director coming in, Tabitha. She'll start within the next month or so. It'll take some time for her to get her sea legs, see the lay of the land, understand how things are working, and then make a determination about incremental change. But at the federal level, we are looking at rescheduling, right? The hearing was moved back a little bit, but in Q1, we'll know whether or not our plant will be moved from a Schedule 1 drug to Schedule 3 or lower, I should say Schedule 1 substance on the Controlled Substances Act. And that has a pretty significant effect on businesses across the nation. When we talk about what's on the horizon, I think we've got that on the horizon. Right now, all cannabis companies are looked at as the green machine, right? There's this gold rush, which is a green rush in many people's minds. And the reality is most cannabis companies are not doing that great. We're taxed as an illegal substance. This means for every dollar we earn, about 70% of it gets paid to the federal government, unlike every other business, which is like 30% or so. And so we've got this enormous tax burden that kills us in terms of making profit. Our profit margins are razor thin. I think having relief at the federal level will affect Maryland businesses. I think having safe banking, meaning the ability for FDIC insured banks to bank with us, is going to increase competition in lending. Right now, they can charge whatever they want for interest rates. They can have these bombastic and crazy terms because there are so few banks that are able to work with us. Mostly they're small credit unions or local banks, very small ones, not FDIC insured banks can work with us. If we get some relief on the banking side, you're going to see competition increase, which is a good thing for business owners and for clients because that trickles down to clients and customers. Outside of those big things at the federal level, on a micro level, we've got a governor who just gave his state of the state address, and there are some pretty big issues he's trying to tackle. I think the budget is one of them. Obviously, he's proposed some tax increases on a few industries. Ours is one of them. I have deep respect for our governor. I think he's trying to do the right thing. The reality is that the General Assembly set the tax rate low in the state of Maryland to ensure that we are not competing with the illegal market. The illegal market doesn't have a tax rate, right? They're not paying healthcare costs, so they don't have the same operational expenses and they don't have the same testing requirements. Safety is not at the front of their minds necessarily. For us, it is. Consumer safety is really at the forefront of keeping that tax rate low. I'm not here to criticize what the executive branch is trying to do. I think it's an enormous task to sort of address the budget deficit. And I understand that they've got to do what they've got to do. As a representative of CanMed, I would say we'd like to keep the taxes low because consumer safety is at the forefront of what we care about, quite frankly. It's not profits, though there are a lot of people who care about profits. I'm going to speak from the heart here. It really is about making sure that people are coming into stores where the products are safe, tested, and labeled. We've got safe product containers. Kids aren't getting into it. And that's what we're really trying to drive home with the taxes. We want to make sure that tax stays low so that people don't get the trickle down increase in expense and then pop over to a black market operator where the products aren't tested and the packaging isn't safe, especially in a nascent industry. So I think there are a lot of issues on the forefront of where we are. There are some issues before the General Assembly now, like public events and consumption lounges that will be hashed out in the General Assembly over the next couple of months. But by and large, Kevin, the market is good. It's stable. We've got really good operators in it at every tier. So from growing and processing to actually distribution and retail, we've got really good folks in this industry.
Well, you've certainly done an incredible amount of research on your industry and given our readers quite the education on the cannabis industry, which I'm sure most of us don't know a ton about yet. It's a lot of really cool information. One of my favorite things about being a business reporter is every business is so different, and you can see why businesses are successful because they dive deep into the issues that they need to be educated on. So a customer's walking into the forest for the first time. They don't know much about cannabis. What are some of the benefits of cannabis and what they might be looking for and what their options are?
When somebody comes into our shop, the first thing we're going to do is ask them, have they ever used cannabis? Like, our goal is to make them feel welcomed, comfortable, and informed. Obviously, there's a greeting. If in fact they have not used cannabis before, we're going to tell them there's no one size fits all experience with cannabis. We'll ask them a few questions about what they're trying to achieve. Are they trying to relax, manage stress, sleep better, or just explore the product? Then we'll recommend one of the products that will fit their lifestyle and goals. We take education seriously, so we'll walk through how the different products work and the different compounds in each product, how they work. We're going to talk about dosing and the right dosing, what to expect in terms of efficacy, and the goals for them to have a great experience with the product, both in our dispensary and when they go home to use their products safely. We just love seeing people come back and discover what works best for them. Every person and their experience is unique and different. We want to make sure that if they have questions after they leave, they don't hesitate to reach out. So we got to sort of hit them with the 1-2 punch of making them feel good and giving them the education they need to make an informed decision. And then hope that they come back and join us. We've got a great loyalty program, really strong compared to our peers out there in the market. Hopefully they'll see us out in the community too, because we're going to do some community partnerships that are really dope to educate folks and to stay involved in Canton and the broader Baltimore community.
Sure. I'm sure it was a surprise to a lot of people a couple of years ago that people would hear, oh, so-and-so's parents like cannabis or whatever. So I'm sure there's a wide range of demographics and ages that come into your store. It seems like the stigma on cannabis has really come down a lot in recent years. I remember when the first proposed cannabis dispensary came to Federal Hill, I thought there'd be a lot of blowback, and there really wasn't any. So it just seems like a lot of the stigma has come down. Is that certainly something you've seen in your business?
Yeah, for sure. My mom would probably kill me for putting her on blast in front of all these people, but my mother's an avid user. She's a retiree, and all of her friends grew up in a different time where cannabis was more widely accepted. It's unfortunate that it's become so taboo, but it's up to us to make sure that people understand the benefits of the plant. Putting wellness at the forefront of that message does the trick. My mom had cancer. She has sciatica in her hips. People can't sleep, right? We're stressed. We've got all of these issues that are affecting us day to day in our daily lives, whether it's the kids that we're tending to, the partners that we're dealing with in our homes, folks in our offices, even reading the news at this day and age gives a lot of people stress, digesting it, the ongoing news cycle on the television or online. So I think we've all got different needs. And I think that cannabis actually can help us meet a lot of those needs. And we see everything from the 21 plus and early 20-year-olds coming in who just kind of want a relaxation high, kind of to take the edge off and address anxiety, to folks who are using it to treat really chronic conditions like cancer. Our folks are skilled. They've taken the necessary training and classes needed to educate people. Some of them even have degrees in medical science or in cannabinoid science. I think what we're going to see in the next several years is an increase in consumers and safe consumption. And I think it's by and large because of education.
I'm sure many of our listeners and readers would probably be curious as well. We are based in South Baltimore, the peninsula. Obviously, our stories and publication covers a wide area, but curious, is there delivery available? Is that even a thing in the cannabis industry yet?
Yeah, there is delivery. So at our store, we have order ahead. We don't yet have delivery. We'll probably be rolling that out this summer, but the state does allow delivery in 2023. However, the law changed a little bit. And so the 2023 licensees, many of whom were just licensed last year, are starting to get their delivery operations off the ground. Those will be the social equity delivery license holders serving clients who want it delivered straight to their door. So for us right now, you can order ahead and it's ready when you come to pick up. We will not be doing delivery until the summer, but there are other folks in the market who do delivery and they do it well.
When you heard that, South Baltimore, you don't have to fight traffic across the harbor. It'll be delivered to you right here.
That's right.
Christina, thank you so much for this education today. And this is what I was really hoping for, more of an education on the industry, the laws and rules that are in the industry, and just get to know you a little better. I encourage everyone to check out theforestdispensary.com. Christina, we wish you the best of luck out there, and thank you for being a stuffbmore.com supporter.
Nate and Kevin, thanks for having me here. We're here to serve Baltimore and elevate the cannabis experience. So glad to be on the show today.